Welcome to Wasatch Weekends for this Saturday, October 28th edition. I'm your host, Ben Roof. On today's show, we've got Nuzzles Co stopping by to tell us about their adoptable pet of the week. Milo Gladstein, a photographer from Colorado, stops by to tell us a little bit about his art practice. And then we've also got Aidan Bisset, a local singer and songwriter. And then we've also got Jordan Danes, a local artist, stopping by to tell us about their art practices. And then the Chemo Queens will also give us some tips and tricks on how to stay beautiful while undergoing chemotherapy. But first, a quick local announcement. If you're looking for something to do, the Spooktacular Weekend at Swanner is a great option. They've got everything that you could possibly imagine: a geocache trick-or-treat, creepy critters scavenger hunt, a climbing wall, the Wasps of Utah display, crafts, and so much more. But now, let's take a quick look at the weather before we head out to check out the Spooktacular Weekend.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Welcome back to the show. Milo Gladstein is an amazing photographer based out of Colorado who has won several awards focusing his work in action sports and journalism photography. And Gretchen Pleshaw had the opportunity to talk to him a little bit about his work and how he got started. Let's take a look.
And welcome back to the show. We've got McKenna with Nuzzles and Company here and her special friend Kane. McKenna, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
So good. Now, look at Kane. He is such a cute dog. Tell me a little bit about him.
So this is Kane. He is a 1-year-old pup who came to us just a few months ago. He is so sweet, but still just a pup who's still learning his boundaries. But he is really well behaved, as you can see. Come. He goes very treat motivated. Come here. Sit. Shake. Paw. Okay. Here you go. He is very treat motivated, wants to do anything for these treats in my hand.
He really does. He's so alert and so energetic. You could definitely see the puppy energy there. So he's been with you a few months. He's about 1 year old. Tell me a little bit more details about him, and is he available for adoption right away?
Yes, he is available for adoption right away. He is a little bit selective with his doggy friends. He doesn't like everyone, but who can like everyone, right? But he does get along with some of the dogs here at the ranch and plays with them very well. I think maybe because he doesn't get along with some of the dogs is because he's just a big puppy. He doesn't quite know his boundaries with other dogs, so other dogs will kind of try to establish those boundaries, and he's not the great at listening to those quite yet. But with just a little bit of training and someone taking a little bit of patience with him, I'm sure he'd catch on very quickly to those things. He's really such a sweet boy, and obviously really just eager to please.
You can see that. You can definitely tell that he probably is unaware of his size and thinks he's still a puppy.
Oh, yes.
So, McKenna, you've got some very interesting programs coming up. You know, you have the option to take dogs on field trips. I love the term. So it's essentially like a try before you buy program. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so our little field trip program, you can take any of our dogs out. Obviously, we'll kind of test them. If you are a little bit older and can't handle a dog who pulls a lot, we'll get you a dog who walks well on a leash. We'll kind of, Kane, come here. Come. Good boy.
He is ready to play.
but we'll test to see like, oh, if you have another dog in the home, we'll make sure the dog does well with other dogs, and we'll make sure it's a good fit. But then you can take one of our dogs out to do basically anything. You can take them out for a pup cup, take them out for a hike, take them out trick-or-treating if you want. If you want to add a spunky little dog to your Halloween costume, it would be a lot of fun. Dress them up, take them with you, get some super cute treats. Or if you just want to cuddle at home on the couch and just get some puppy love in, that's totally okay too. Our field trips can go anywhere from like an hour to overnight. We do sleepovers as well.
Awesome. Kane looks like he is ready to party. Definitely wants to go out and go trick-or-treating based on all those treats you're giving him. Now, McKenna, tell us, you have the option for private events also. So you've got a lot of those coming up. And what does that look like typically?
Yeah, so our private events is where people can kind of hire out our puppies. So we come with some of our puppies and we get a donation. You pay for the time and the effort of our staff getting the puppies there. And people can snuggle with puppies or kittens. And you just get a donation to the rescue. It helps out the animals getting socialization, and it helps out getting some of the funds going to their medical care and things like that. And it's so much fun. Every event that we've done, we've been one of the main attractions. We go to like convention centers. We're a very, very popular booth at convention centers. We go to hotels. We go to apartments that are dog friendly. And most of the time, these dogs are adoptable or available for pre-adoption. So it helps get the animals more exposure. People post on their social media. And sometimes we even get adoptions out of it. So it's a lot of fun. We love doing our little private events. And yeah, so we got a bunch of those coming up with the holidays. We're both having their holiday parties. And so we'll be a little bit busy with running around with puppies and kittens doing holiday parties. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
I love that. You know, it's definitely nice to take home a special furry friend for Christmas, but also make sure you're prepared and ready for it, right?
Yes.
You know, absolutely. Well, we love Kane. He looks like he is just a blast and a ball of energy, probably a great partner for somebody who likes to go outside and be out and about and do all of the fun activities. It looks like Kane would be a great addition to that kind of lifestyle.
Oh, yes. He's a very active boy. He loves going out for his walks. He loves running around in the yard and playing with toys and just tearing apart stuffed animals, chasing balls. So he's a lovable pup. At just a year old, he acts like he's 6 months old. It's a lovable ball of energy. But we love him here. We love his big squishy face.
You can see those eyes when he looks up at you, and also how he looks at the bag of treats. He's full of love.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, McKenna, tell us where we can go for more information and the latest updates over at Nuzzles Co.
You can go over to our website over at nuzzlesandco.org and check out all of our information there. Or you can go ahead follow us on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, just at Nuzzles & Co. For regular social media updates. We post the adoptable animals, we post events, and things like that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, McKenna, and thank you, Kane, for hanging out and showing us your cuteness. Now we'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to the show. Milo Gladstein is an amazing photographer based out of Colorado who has won several awards focusing his work in action sports and journalism photography. And Gretchen Pleshaw had the opportunity to talk to him a little bit about his work and how he got started. Let's take a look.
I'm very, very thrilled about this. I have a dear friend and photographer extraordinaire, Milo Gladstein. How are you doing, Milo?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's so good to see you. See you in, well, I almost said in real life, but see you over the video, you know.
I know, we only get to see each other once or twice a year, but it's so good to be here, and thanks for having me.
Of course. So Milo, just so we can let everyone know, Milo and I met years ago. Was it X Games or Do Tour?
I think it was Do Tour at first, and then X Games Do Tour every year after that.
Yeah. So. And Milo, I know you are very humble, but you are an amazing, phenomenal photographer. How did you get started? I don't even know. This is great for me to find out as a friend as well. How did you get started taking pictures? Because you are insanely talented.
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much always had a camera in my hand. I got started in kind of the street photography vein and moved into other things like outdoor sports and things like that, adventure sports, whitewater rafting. I've been a climber for 10 years,
Yeah.
almost. So kind of always been taking out the camera climbing and stuff. And I'm still a student at Colorado State University and found my way into a media and society class. And they told me about the student newspaper, the Rocky Mountain Collegian.
Yeah.
And the newsroom is in the basement of the student center. And I kind of always joke that I walked into the basement and I never walked out. And here I am all these years later. So
That is brilliant. And you're actually the photo director, right, of the Collegian magazine.
Yeah, so this year I'm co-photo director with my good friend Garrett Mogul. We both took over, so we're running the whole visual side of the paper, which has been an absolute blast, and we have such an incredible staff, and it's been really great to really try to curate the best news possible for the Fort Collins community.
Well, I have to tell you, one of my favorite things, truly, and I'm not just saying this because we're friends, of the X Games, of Dew Tour, of all these events that we're so blessed to get to go and hang out together, is seeing your photos behind the scenes at the media tent, because they are insanely amazing. Oh, there we go. There's one of my favorites. Do you want to talk a little bit about the photo?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of for me, being able to go to Dew Tour and X Games is kind of a dream come true. I've always loved snowboarding and obsessed over every snowboarding movie as a kid.
Yeah.
And specifically, I mean, this image of Zeb Powell is probably one of my favorites that I've taken. And the first year I applied for Dew Tour, I had no intention of getting it as, you know, a kid on student media, and I got the credential and went and just had the best time ever, surrounded by all these incredible athletes who are also incredible people.
Yeah.
That I never thought I'd meet, that I just always saw through the computer screen on movies and stuff. And so this image in particular was at X Games this past year, of Zeb on top of right before he dropped in for the Knuckle Huck event. And that was fantastic.
And I have to say about Zed, because you know I got to interview him and I adore him, this is a soft side of him that we're seeing in this photo. You captured a moment, because he is a teddy bear, and not everyone knows that. That captures his like energy, his beauty. He is just a love. I adore him.
Yeah, he's fantastic. This was the image I wanted to walk away with, and happened to have the opportunity on top of the Knuckle Huck, and everything kind of just came together in the middle of a snowstorm. And yeah, it was incredible.
All right, I want you to walk us through your photos. Is that cool? And kind of tell us about each one.
Yeah,
Put you on the spot
Let's
here. All right, let's do it.
Cool. This one was super fun. This was also from X Games. You know, kind of got a lot of the standard shots, as we call them. We go out and get the safe shots first.
Right.
We know which images need to be published and things like that. And then we kind of go for the more fun stuff. So these were really fun because I laid on the snow with my head against the big air jump kicker, and basically just had to wait and time it based on what all the other photographers were doing. So you could kind of, almost like Formula One, you could see everybody's head snap up and kind of just trying to get it right at that right moment of just the skier framed against the sky, which is incredible.
I dig it. That is so awesome. I love it. Oh, I like this too.
Yeah, this was really fun. This was at night on the Super Pipe. And this was one of the images I've been trying to get for a long time, trying to position myself to frame the riders right in between the two lights with the X Games logo against the black sky.
Oh,
it was one of those like perfect nights that was just clear, I mean, as can be, and was just trying to capture that just raw, super clean, huge method, and was really stoked to be able to capture that.
Are those stars that you can see as well in the background?
I'm not sure.
That's dope. Oh, it's so cool. Milo, I dig it. That's awesome. Right on. I mean, I don't seem shocked because I know you and I get to see these all the time, but these are brilliant. Absolutely. Oh, Burton, we need to send that to our buddies over at Burton. That's dope. I love that.
Yeah, this was really fun. I think this one was at Dew Tour, or maybe X Games. I can't remember actually. But this one was really fun. Just had a really wide angle lens and kind of was actually, a lot of these happened to be as I was moving position, and the rider happened to kind of pop up over the edge right in front of me.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is also one of my favorites. Just, you can feel the size of the pipe and how high the rider is in the air. I mean, I love this photo.
Well, and I should add too, a lot of people don't understand, but Milo, like, you get a perspective, and we do as media, to see it in a different way, to see these events, and it's pretty special because the human, everyone else that's going as a spectator really doesn't get to see these kind of moments. I mean, they see them, but in a different way, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really special to kind of be on the pipe, be on the knuckle as these athletes are doing their thing, which is just incredible to watch. And you get a whole other side of things that you would never see otherwise. And it's cool to kind of feel like you're almost part of the action in that sense.
100%. And as we look at some more of your photo, okay, I'm going to totally be quiet because I know you were so stoked about this particular photo. You ran back to the media tent, and yeah, tell us all about this.
Yeah, so this was actually kind of a coincidence. I think the day before this was at Dew Tour this past year. This is Sylvia. She rides for the German team and has been just an incredible athlete for them for many, many years. And she walked up to me during one of the open practices as I was taking photos and stuff, and was like, "Hey, can you take some photos for me?" And I said, "Sure." And ended up shooting for her for most of Dew Tour this year, which was great. But it was funny because this was another one of kind of just happened to be walking by each other at that time that she snapped her board. And she's like, "Oh, can we do a photo?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have a great idea. Let's go over to the side." And I really wanted to capture her with the broken board and wanted to focus on the broken board, but kind of just with her eyes peeking out and kind of really personality in that. So.
I love it. I remember when you showed me that, and I was like, okay, I have another job for you. You're gonna be the new photographer for all the modeling as well, because product placement, man. You're really good at that. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you.
Of course. Ooh, what is this one? I dig it.
This one was really fun. This was this kind of goes along the vein of getting safe shots first and then moving into more fun stuff afterwards. This was at round, I believe it was 16 of the Arena Cross Championship in Loveland, Colorado.
Right on.
And this was an assignment I had kind of found for the paper and was like, hey, this is cool. We've never really covered anything in this vein. So went to go cover this, and this was really fun to play with some motion blur shots. And this one came out really, really good. And it took probably a good hour to try to figure out exactly how I wanted this to be, and that the guys flying through the air in the back really adds to that. So
and I want to say too, I know that a lot of people just think, oh, photography, you point your camera. There's so much you've taught me. I've watched you the past couple of years. There's so much more that goes into it, and it's a true form of artwork. I mean, really, you have to have the eye, you have to know the equipment, you have to know the movement, all of it. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. A lot of the time we end up my buddy Garrett and I's joke is we always end up sprawled out on the ground, underneath things of about to get run over all the time. I mean, I've been run over by many different things many times. It's just a blast.
I remember at Dew Tour, you guys, because we love hanging out, and I was with you guys, and I forget what you were shooting, but someone was like, what are they doing? You were on your knees, on your back, and I'm like, those are my homies. They're good. They're doing their thing. Let them be.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We're always kind of in weird positions.
Yeah, but you get the best product, so it works. And that last picture, was that the agricultural food waste story?
Yeah, it was. So this was a really good example of taking a local story and kind of a one-off story and making it, you kind of stumble into things as a journalist that you wouldn't really know about otherwise. So this woman in the photo is Jennifer Seywald, and she owns a local hard cider bar here in Fort Collins.
Right on.
And we just did a quick, we were doing a beer themed edition of the paper, and we did a quick thing about cider versus beer kind of a thing. And in talking to her, she told me all about how she got a grant from the USDA to build a mobile juicing trailer that she now takes all over the state of Colorado and juices what are known as seconds. So this is fruit that would never make it to market if it weren't for Jennifer was doing, it would be thrown in the trash. And so she supports local agriculture through juicing all this fruit that wouldn't make it to market. And she takes that juice and gives it to local distilleries, things like that, and then brings the rest of it back up to Fort Collins, where she distills it into hard cider and then sells it through her company. And she contributes over $1 million back into the Colorado agriculture system every year, single-handedly, basically keeping all of these local farmers in business.
That is amazing. That is so beautiful. And I love that you captured her spirit and her energy in that picture. What a beautiful smile. And you can tell she really loves what she's doing. That's pretty special.
Oh, yeah. She always has a smile on her face. I mean, as
oh, wow. Look at that. Wow. Milo, that's dope.
She's incredible. She's a fantastic woman, and built this company from the ground up all on her own, basically. Started just here in Fort Collins and then expanded to going to farms all over the state. And I'm sure she intends to expand that throughout the country as well, if possible.
How cool. That is so beautiful. I love that. And then I think we have maybe at the end a rodeo picture. Oh, no, I was wrong. We don't. We have another one. No, it's all good. What is this? Well, I know what it is, but who is this?
So this is the bass player for the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets band.
Right
they are
on.
An awesome psychedelic rock band out of Australia. They came here to Fort Collins, I think 2 weeks ago now, or a week ago. They just blew the doors off the place. I mean, they sold out our local theater on a Tuesday night, which was awesome.
That's awesome. I love that. I love it. Oh, wow. That's a cool shot.
This is another one from them. They're incredible. That was a blast. I do quite a bit of concert photography around here, shoot for a lot of the local bands, and it's really fun and kind of one of the places I get to be most artistic just because of light and things like that.
And that's perfect, Milo. This is a good transition because I was going to say the difference between your photography when you're doing shows, like going and seeing music versus outdoor nature, is it night and day, right? I'm only assuming.
Yeah, it's a very different thing. I think now that I've settled into shooting concerts, it's become a lot calmer and more of like a familiar kind of almost brain scrub, but also the place that I get to be most artistic.
Cool.
Again, because of all the lights and colors and everything happening, it just is fantastic to be able to just have complete artistic freedom, which is amazing.
I love that. I love that so much. I am so inspired by all of these pictures. And what are you working at present day? Oh, here we go. That's the one.
Yeah, so this is I threw this image in here to show because this, again, kind of similar to the Peach story. I currently am working on a rodeo story that was born out of a story that was done. I didn't write the original story that this photo was taken for. I did the photos for the story, and it was done about the CSU rodeo team.
Oh, right.
And I grew up about as far away from the sport of rodeo as you possibly can. This was the first interaction I had ever had with anybody in the sport of rodeo, and I took this photo. I actually have it printed and hanging on my wall.
I love it.
But I realized a couple months later that I just couldn't stop thinking about it, and there was more to be done in this world, in the world of Western life and rodeo. And so reached out to one of the contacts I had through taking photos for the story, and ended up being launched into a whole world for the last, I believe it's been 9 months now.
Oh, wow.
And hoping to finish the story up in January for it to run at the National Western Stock Show.
Cool.
And basically following the theme of what does it mean to be a true cowboy.
Nice.
So really, really excited to be kind of wrapping that up in the next couple months.
Milo, you're amazing. How cool. Thank you for taking us through your photo journey, literally all the things. So I know you're working on that, and I wish we had some more time, but what are you the most stoked coming up to do?
I think right now just trying to finish school, graduate, figure out my next steps. Obviously, finishing the rodeo project is my main focus right now. I'm really, really excited for that. And I've kind of branched out more for that. I'm doing photos, writing, and a documentary as well. So
awesome.
I think that's what I'm most excited about at the moment.
Well, Milo Gladstein, we adore you here on Good Morning Vail. Thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to see you soon due to our next games right around the corner.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me, Gretchen. Always great talking to you.
So good seeing you, and we will talk to you again soon.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Welcome back. Kimberly Perot had the incredible opportunity to sit down with singer and songwriter Aidan Bisset to talk a little bit about their art and how they got started and how their career is going. Let's take a look.
Now, welcome back to our show. I am so excited about our new guest here on the show. We've got Capitol recording artist Aidan Bisset joining us to talk all things about his latest EP and the tour that he is currently on. Aidan, how are you today?
Doing really, really good. Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, we are so excited. You know, you've got, your music is amazing. So you just released your latest EP. Talk to me a little bit about your sound and what, really what has influenced your music.
Yeah, I grew up listening to so many bands. My dad was super into the alt scene. So when I started playing guitar, I immediately gravitated to classic rock groups like AC/DC, Queen, Guns N' Roses, and from there that kind of expanded into more modern bands. I think the first album I listened to in full was Parachutes by Coldplay, which still has a great effect on me today.
Love that. So how has it influenced your latest EP? You've got so many good songs on it. I think, I was looking at it and it has similarities, but each song is very different. How did you select what song would be going onto the EP?
I feel like my writing process is so interesting and maybe a little bit different than other artists. I tend to know immediately when I write the song if it's going to be on or if it's not going to be on a project. There's just something that kind of clicks in my brain where I'm like, okay, yes, this makes sense, or this one isn't right. It's still cool, but it just doesn't feel like the right fit. So it's kind of almost immediate. And these songs came over together in about like 6 or 8 months. And I was traveling back and forth from Nashville and LA. And yeah, it all flowed pretty fast. I feel like it worked. Every time I was in a session with the people that I usually work with, it was like we cranked out another one. I was like, this makes sense. This works. It was rare that I felt like I was in a slump this time, which was really great.
That's awesome. Now, you have a visual, your music video, for how it's going to end. And tell me a little bit about that. I loved the video. What was the inspiration behind it? And how involved were you in the visual piece of it?
Yeah, visuals to me are so important. I think they're kind of weirdly forgotten in today's music space, just because short form has become so important. But making visuals like that, where it's like building a world and doing it on film, and it's more like less of a performance and more of I don't know, acting or something like that, I think is really important to help build a world around an artist. And I started writing that video and concepting it like 3 months prior to shooting it with a friend, Justin, who directed it. And it was this weird concept that we had, and he was like, oh, this is going to be weird, but I think we can do it. We can just run and gun it. We're going to shoot it on film. We're going to go to a field in the middle of Lancaster, California, with all your friends, and we're going to shoot this crazy film masterpiece. And I was like, hey, man, that sounds incredible. That's all I want to do is create something outside of the music that can draw fans in and give them an experience. That's what my goal was with visuals, was to give fans another experience, something else they can latch on to.
Yeah, and you can definitely see it in the video. I'd say, like, for me, I connected to like the emotional transparency that you have, and you have that in all of your music, but then to see it visually as well, it just really draws the viewer and the audience in. It's pretty incredible. So speaking of audience, you are on your first headlining tour. How's it going so far? Tell me a little bit about it.
It's been pretty incredible. I mean, we did 60 opening shows last year, or like the past year and a half. And so when the headline tour came around, I was definitely really nervous, but so ready and so excited. And these shows have been everything. I mean, been so far exceeding my expectations. The fans have been so responsive and energetic, and I mean, everything about it is a dream. There's nothing that really compares to it for me.
That's amazing. Do you have a favorite moment so far?
Favorite moment. I would say playing home. I played a show in Tampa, and my entire dad and mom side of the family was there. My grandparents there. My great grandma was there. She's 95. Uh, so glad that she enjoyed it, feeling the vibrations. But it was an incredible experience to play for them.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate your time. I know you've got a show in Denver and in Salt Lake, and they're completely sold out. So it's going to be exciting to watch you make your way back west. And then you plan to start an international leg of the tour in December as well. So do you have any expectations for that?
All I've heard is that the European shows will be rowdy and fun and sweaty. So I'm excited. I love when people kind of mosh and go hard. So it's I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, Aidan, where can fans go to stream your music, to follow your journey, and to really be part of your experience?
I'm on across all socials. It's just my name, Aidan Bisset. Yeah, you can find me just about anywhere, and I'll be there.
Awesome. Supernova, love the EP. Congratulations on the tour and on your new EP. Very exciting stuff. I can't wait to see what else you do in the future.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned. We are so excited that we had that conversation with Aidan. We will be right back after this break.
Welcome back to Wasatch Weekends. It can be really hard to maintain our self-confidence and our appearance when we're diagnosed with an illness, especially something as severe as cancer. And going through chemotherapy can really impact our appearance, especially our hair. Kimberly Perot had the opportunity to sit down with the chemo queens to talk about how they are helping people overcome that experience and stay confident in themselves based off of their own experience going through chemotherapy. Let's take a look.
Welcome back to the show. Now, our next guests joining us are quite special. They've got infectious energy and are just wonderful in who they are as people. But to talk to us today, they actually have a lot more in common than one would hope or think. I've got sisters Blythe Howard and Kesley Howard joining us today to talk about their cancer diagnoses and how they've overcome that. Ladies, thanks so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much for having us. Hello.
So I love that you both have the same smiling energy, but you both have the BRCA1 gene in common. So I guess tell me a bit about that, and were you aware that you carried the gene?
Yeah, we weren't aware. I wasn't aware I had the BRCA1 gene until I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Breast cancer runs deep, deep, deep in our family on our father's side. So it was always, speculation, but we didn't know until I was actually diagnosed. And then following.
I did some blood work just to after she was diagnosed, I was like, okay, let me just get everything checked out. When I did the blood work, that was when I found out I was BRCA1 positive. And it's like, you don't think about these things. We know it's on our family side, but then you're just kind of living your best life and you don't think it's going to be your story until it is.
Yeah. So how did, and just diving into that, once you discovered that you had the gene, how did that change your mindset and your thoughts and everything before you realized you were diagnosed? And Kesley, I guess for you, you were diagnosed first. So did you know that you had it until the diagnosis, or tell me more about that?
I honestly did not, as Blythe said, I was living my life and didn't really want to address that, I guess. And I find that that's more common amongst people who might know. But yeah, it was shocking when I found out. And now it's like, okay, this will change, how I have children in the future and all that. So yeah, knowing that information has been helpful.
Absolutely. And especially for you working in the tech world and as a world traveler, you probably didn't want to acknowledge this. So Kesley, talk to me a bit about your diagnosis. So what were you diagnosed with, and what was the journey like for you?
So I first started off with this excruciating pain in my left upper breast. I went to the doctor. They told me I was too young to have a mammogram, and they wanted to talk about my weight instead. So that was jarring. The pain subsided, and I just thought, nothing of it. Couple months later, a lump appeared underneath my armpit, about the size of a large grape. And then that is where everything just kind of snowballed from there. I found out about my diagnosis. I had triple negative breast cancer, which is an aggressive form of breast cancer. I did fertility right before treatment, and then immediately started chemotherapy following surgery and radiation.
Wow. And then when you were cleared of that, and congratulations, it's very exciting, and it's great to see you here. When you were cleared of that 11 months later, Blythe, you were diagnosed. So tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, so like I said, I'd done that blood work, and knowing I was BRCA1 positive, it's almost just like, okay, but I believe there's knowledge and there's power in knowledge, it's having the awareness, but not letting it like, okay, I'm BRCA1 positive, I'm gonna get cancer. Like, that wasn't even my thought. It was just like, even if you do have BRCA1, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it. The risks are higher. And then fast forward to, November, end of November, I started having severe pain in my lower abdomen, and like, I'm healthy. I played sports, we've, been active in my entire life and stuff. But when this happened, I knew something was wrong. So I went to the ER, and that's where they did like all the scans and stuff. And it was ovarian cancer for me. They found like this mass on my left ovary. And that was that. But I was still kind of in denial. We knew this mass had to come out. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go under. They're going to take out this mass. If it's cancer, it's cancer. You're not going to know it for sure until you get in there. And in fact, it was cancer. So yeah, they got rid of everything. And then I started chemo in February. But I had jobs lined up. So it was kind of like a weird time to be getting cancer,
Absolutely. And you're a commercial actor and acting coach, so it very much affects what you do for your work. Now, Kesley, going back to you, you had mentioned you went in for a mammogram. They said you were too young for it. So how did you advocate for yourself through your diagnosis and through treatment?
Yeah, once I found that out, I actually got a second opinion. And then that's where everything, shifted. They were like, okay, well, let's keep an eye, in that area before the lump appeared. And then once the lump appeared, they were like, okay, now let's get a scan. So, I just kept pushing, for answers. And then during my treatment, same thing. I've always been a person who, is very avoidant of confrontation and things like that. And this gave me a chance to actually stick up for myself, for my well-being. And so especially during my treatment, speaking up for myself about, how I'm feeling and symptoms and things like that, I learned a lot about myself and what I needed.
I can imagine there was a ton of personal growth there. And now, Blythe, for you, after seeing what your sister went through, how did you know to really have a voice through your medical treatment as well?
Yeah, same. I mean, I got the information from her. She'd been through it, and she's like, okay, these are the steps. This is what we're going to be facing here. And I knew I wanted to do cold capping. That's why I was able to save my hair. I opted in for cold cap therapy. And another thing is like, both my oncologists were like, don't bother. It doesn't work. And I saved 90% of my hair. My hair is usually like really big and curly, but had I listened to them, I would have lost my hair. But luckily, cold capping worked for me, and I'm a huge advocate for at least trying it throughout treatment.
Amazing. So because of the two of you, you are just fabulous. You started a brand called the Chemo Queens. Tell me about Chemo Queens and your initiative.
Yeah. We're pretty much, I think, experts in chemotherapy from different sides. And we really wanted to take what we learned during our journeys separately and then together, and then bring them, in a beautiful package through Chemo Queens and provide free resources as well as, essential products that we love and use during our experience.
Mm-hmm. Really just like the essentials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I was looking at the website and the things that you offer and the resources for conversations that the patient can have with their families, that families can have with the patient. I think that's just a brilliant idea. Now, you mentioned cold capping, Blythe. So what is the plan with Chemo Queens and cold capping and what that might look like?
Yeah, so we're just at the beginning stages. So as we grow, we're kind of in phase 1 as we're putting together these essentials boxes for people who are going to need these items. And phase 3 is going to be our cold cap design. We're actually developing, we have a patent pending design right now for our own cold cap. I mean, the designs that are out there, yes, they work, but they're inconsistent. There's issues with customer service, and we're just elevating the market, and we're really excited to be bringing these to people.
I love that, and having market information is so important. And I know that the average cost is $14,000. So I love that you're patenting a new design and that hopefully will be accessible to more people as well.
Yeah, accessible and affordable, out of pocket. Not everyone has that laying around. And, it's some companies, there's different companies and some are covered by insurance, but, I'm still waiting for my reimbursement fee, so
yeah, sure.
We want to just eliminate that.
Absolutely. Now, ladies, if you could give one piece of advice to somebody to either be proactive in their health journey or have just been diagnosed, what would that be?
I think for someone who's just being diagnosed, everything that you're going through is temporary. You will get through it. Each day is, a new day, and not to be like toxic positivity, but it really is just temporary. You hit that lull and then you build back up. Mm-hmm. You will get through it.
Yeah, that and embrace every moment. It's hard. It's one of the hardest things you're gonna have to do, but on the other side of it, I mean, I knew I just focused on who I wanted to be on the other side of this.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that energy. Now, where can we go for more information to follow along with your journey, to find the resources that you have available?
So we're on social media at the Chemo Queens, also at our website, chemoqueens.com. We have a Shopify, we have an Amazon storefront with all the essentials you're going to need. So yeah, we're all over the place. Chemo Queens or the Chemo Queens.
Awesome. Well, Blythe and Kesley, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on beating it. And I'm so excited to see how you'll advocate in the future for those that need it. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Now stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun & Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Thanks for joining us. So after 4 years with the University of Utah men's basketball program, center Brandon Carlson is gearing up for his last season as a Ute. His performance in the 2023-24 season could determine his future. 7-footer of Utah men's basketball, Brandon Carlson is the poster child for hard work pays off. He's improved every season since joining the program in 2019.
He used to be really a quieter guy. And now you walk in that gym and he owns the gym. Like, he has a big time voice, elite communication on and off the floor. And he knows exactly what is expected. He understands this league inside out and backwards, going into his 5th year.
The all Pac-12 first team selection from South Jordan, Utah wants to turn pro next year. Not every collegiate basketball player is cut out to play in the NBA. However, Carlson knows what he needs to improve on for a chance.
A lot of them are talking with me saying I'm playing more, for offensively and defensively. In order to do that, I have to be able to guard in space, and so that's something I've been really focusing on over the summer, and feel like I've really developed, some good habits with that.
In the NBA, big men are required to change their coverage on defense to guards as well, which isn't traditional. Teammate of Carlson's, Raleigh Worcester, says he's seen the 7-footer improve in that area.
I think we've all noticed a big difference in how he can guard guards and switch onto quicker athletic guards and really be able to stay in front and contest jumpers.
If Carlson can keep improving steadily, we could be hearing his name called in the 2024 NBA draft. University of Utah men's basketball program plays some tough games this season, so it'll be interesting to see how Carlson performs in those matchups. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Well, that's all the time we have for our 1-hour Saturday edition of Wasatch Weekends. Don't forget to catch us tomorrow, where we're going to be talking to a couple of amazing local nonprofits. Until then, this is Wasatch Weekends. I'm your host, Ben Roof, and I will see you tomorrow.